it is. My first TikTok live. Um, some of this is a little bit more difficult than I expected it to be. Um, when it comes to being able to kind of upload and read text. So I got some studying and some things to learn, but I'm here and I'm learning as I go. You are rocking with darling Nikki. I have several videos on my YouTube channel, different playlists. This will be included in my playlist called D is for Donkey, where I am dissecting the very last relationship that I was in. There were the highs and the lows, but the lows, they always show up. And if they're not resolved, eventually those are the things that bring you to where uh, we got. So this is not my finest moment. I'll say that. I definitely got real gangsta in this last conversation. But how many of you women understand what it takes to get someone who is super feminine to get to this point to where you saying stuff like my N word, my nigga? So I know that these lives get cut off when you say certain words. I'm going to try not to say them, but I'm going to do my best to just read the whole text message thread, pull up each page on here and read everything, answer your questions as they come. But what I'd like to do is read everything first through and then go back and dive deeper into it. So I should be asleep right now, but I wanted to get this in. So here we go. So this is the first part of it. So what you're looking at is the culmination of a relationship coming to the end, the final fight, when there are those little things that just continue to not get resolved in relationships, they get here. So I talk about a lot of my own stories. I share other people's stories. Darling Nikki online is a space where I want you to look at the things that I share as cautionary tales, as what to do's and what not to do's, and ultimately as a source of empowerment as I go back and I review things and I look at the history of what brought me to being the most self actualized, standing up for myself woman that I am today, the woman who just don't take no mo, and the woman who's just through. So here we go. So the first thing you're looking at the top, it is actually it's another YouTube video, and it's still up. Toward the end of this relationship, an old one, where we've been divorced for almost 10 years. This man looked up and he saw that not only did I get away, but after so long of being away from him, I am thriving. And he also saw that I was in a long-term relationship. I'm thriving. I've got a great career, all the things that he never thought that I could do, because he kept his foot on my neck. So this man started trying to take my kids, and he's a cop. So it's interesting that when things started to really get to a place where it's like I've worked so hard to be in this good space and build everything, and now it's time for somebody to step up. And it was other things too. It's like now that things are starting to get rough for me, you flaking like big time. Like so anyway, there was that. We had a conversation about me, posting videos and stuff. So anyway, let's get into the text. So everything, this fight wasn't all about that, but that was a very small part of it as well. So I said, this is what I'm talking about. Moments like these should have been your time to shine, but in crisis, you do, say, and offer nothing. This is why I was not okay with Jamaica. Instead of money on extra cars not needed, and Jamaica, and so much alcohol, all the bills should have been paid, plus money in savings to cover real stuff like this, plus your unexpected move. His unexpected move was that all of a sudden, now that you've been with me for a little while, you lose your condo and you got to move into my house. Anyway, I said I was going to just read the text all the way through. Y'all might have to remind me. So then I said, and our children's clothes and school supplies should have been, the part that you can't see on here, should have been happening, but you don't believe in financial wisdom or security. All you value is stuff that's pleasing in the moment, and that's it. So let me see if I can pull the next one up. Part I said, grow up. Grow the fuck up, please. You've been a part of my life all this time. We should have been grinding together with fierce passion, dedicated to eradicating both of our poverty stricken lives. I shouldn't be begging the public for $2,500 for an attorney or money to help me move when I've had a man fucking on me for the past 4 years. Really, five. Okay, so the next one says no. So he responded. I don't have all the responses here, but you get the gist of it. So he said, ultimately, I want the same thing, a strong connection with somebody and a happy blah, blah, blah. I said, no, you don't, because you refuse to put in the real in-depth work required to have a strong connection. You think attention, effing, and fun is going to get you there. You see a lot of caps, a lot of exclamations. This is me holding on to this for a long time. Not holding on to it as in not communicating, but like just getting tired of just not being heard. And now like I'm not even trying to say it cute, polite, anything anymore. It's just it is what it is. Like I'm in your face with it. So then he said, even when we had our annual breakups and you'd end it, I would go along with it thinking, basically the rest of that was thinking, I'll come back around. I said in pink, annual breakups are unhealthy. How about do what's needed to avoid a breakup or any other big act to try and get your attention? Admittedly, still not my strong moment because strongest moments here are not my best moments, but when relationships degenerate, these things happen. So he said, me, I don't want anything right now. That's telling. I'm so stressed out about finding a house and blah, blah, blah. Um, I said, let me try to get to the next page so that you can see what I'm reading. Where is it at now? We've already talked about that one, so I'm trying to pull up another. Oh, this is annoying. Okay, here we go. So he said, me, I don't want anything right now. I'm so stressed out about finding a house. A little bit of background with that is that he lost his home. This wasn't something that was unavoidable or out of his control. These were all things within his control. I'll say that. So then I said, you wouldn't be so stressed if you actually listened to me, respected me, and valued the wealth of wisdom and knowledge and resources that I brought into your life as much as I overvalued what you brought to me. You could have avoided all of this mess and the house stuff, but nobody can tell you nothing, or at least I can't. Hell, I've been saying since last year what was going to happen with your condo, but you refuse to take anything seriously until it's too damn late, and then you don't stand up to stuff, you stand down. This self defeating and self sabotaging spirit is not the wave. So then we go on to the next page. His response is, I'm not even sure what to say. I'm reading and hearing every word you have said. HAV. So it's not have. Have said. Typos are definitely on purpose. Like that's just what he likes to do. I first want you to know that I do understand your perspective and I respect your anger. Then I responded, no, you don't, because you refuse to put in the real. So that's where that came from when I said you. And then he said, here's the foundation of our problem. We have two fundamentally different perspectives, both fueled by two different things. The short of it is that you only see one way for us to be successful, and you don't really take the time to get to know the real me. And you've determined what my role in that success has to be, and only that. And if not that, then we fail, and it's my fault. And we both predicate the success of our relationship on different things. You want a business partner and work assistant, and basically a clone of you to also do the things you are doing. Hold on. Let's see. And you have not seen in 4 years that I don't operate that way. I think that's basically the end of that. Oh, hold on, I'm trying to find it. And you have not seen in 4 years that I don't operate the same way that you do. So let me move on to the next one so that you can see all this. We see we see supposed to complement each other, or we are supposed to complement each other. And you refuse to really hear anything I've told you, and you don't take the time to learn me. You only ask, what do I want and what do I prefer? And you've learned very little about me since we've started. And the little you think you know about me, you frame it through very cynical and jaded and angry glasses. I can admit that I'm not great with setting appointments and following up on phone calls and emails and calling schools, mind you. He has children, just like I do. And emails, let's see, calling schools and sending out letters to the state and applying for stuff and finding money online and setting up accounts and all the other thousands of tasks you bury. Where is it at? Where is it at? Where's it at? And all the other thousands of tasks you bury yourself in. I can and do those things, but they aren't my strong points. Okay, let's get to that. You have made it very clear that you want a partner to do those things with you and to some degree for you. And if it's not that, then they aren't willing to do the work it takes. I hear what you are saying about getting out of poverty and working to secure all of our futures, and I've never disagreed with you about that. But we have to have a present as well as a future. I don't regret anything we did. Buying you the car and us going to Jamaica or Myrtle Beach or any of the other places we went. Let's see. Jamaica was like 1800 spent slowly over time, where if uh, I got to keep going over here so that you can see the other part. Jamaica was like 1800 spent slowly over time. It cost more than that, I'll tell you guys. Where if I had skipped that trip, I'm certain that money would have been gone by now. Anyway, spent on other things. It wasn't life changing. And it's a worthwhile investment because it extends the life of the minivan and actually does make life better for you and the kids. I don't regret it. I want to stop and respond to so many of these things right now. But I just want to go back and I just want to read everything first and then dissect. The point is, you're good and efficient at certain stuff, and I have my efficiency and forte in other stuff. We could have been a much more cohesive unit if we focused on doing what we are good at instead of you thinking that because I'm not doing the same type of responsibilities and jobs you are all the time that I'm not working and more so not toward working towards our future and at the pace you demand it be at. Hmm. Yes, you're right. We need a savings, always have. And I need one right now and haven't been building one over the last year or so. I mean, I had one for a while and it dwindled and was spent over time. I agree, our spending could be different. Again, it's hard to keep a savings when you spend your money on what's needed: repairs, gas, travel, food, clothes, hair, bills, furniture, cars, and whatever else I've spent money while investing myself in you and your kids. Okay, next page. Oh. And how can you sit there in your angry bubble and say that all I've been doing is fucking on you for the last 4 years? Is highly insulting. I've been there with you for everything, talking with you about all of your family issues, taught your kids stuff. I supported you in everything you've ever wanted to do while with me. I've incorporated you in so many of my own job connections. I've I've IT money and relationships in your pocket. I've done worlds more than just fucking on you. But if that's all you see at this point, you need to stop seeing through. THRU. Such goggles of negative and cynicism. I really tried to love you, and all you wanted me to do was be a clone of you and have a joint bank account and savings account and meeting about budget and finance and schedule Zoom calls while sending out emails. Meanwhile, I'm trying to support your dreams, put money in both our pockets. I drove you back and forth 3 hours to Baltimore so you can have a shot at the rough ends gig. I went to the kids' school events when you couldn't. I did all the birthdays and Christmases. I unclosed, but it means unclogged toilets and fixed things and built things and cooked dinners and barbecued and did trips for us as well as the kids. I happily spent my last dollar on you so many times because money can be replaced, but moments can't. Was I perfect along the way? No, but I was always good to you and always respected you and always treated you well, I thought. I always put you and the kids before me, and you still say all I did was fuck on you. I could list shit all day, and you not only would process it, you probably wouldn't even take the time to actually read it. The fact that you question how this can be difficult for me really says SEZ a lot about in what you think of me and how much you've bothered to learn about me thus far. All right. So you're reading you're listening or watching the final fight, just going over a text message, which um, I'm sure many of you, hopefully not all, but many of you have found yourself at this fork in the road in relationships where a lot of unresolved things and basically just not having values and things line up. And this is what it looks like. So, um, reading over this, dissecting it. Um, I've always been a fairly transparent person, and I love being able to share my experiences, the ones that I want to share, and the way that I want to share it, and allow it to be several things. One of them, allowing a lot of the bullshittery that I experience, some of it by my own hand, some of it not, to be a cautionary tale, something to learn from. It's also a bit of a therapeutic kind of catharsis thing for me to go back and look, especially when I look at more recent experiences like this and I see how much I have grown. And also I see how much stronger I've gotten in my own resolve to basically not take any wooden nickels and just not to be down with the shit, even if the shit is like, packaged a little nicer, not to be down with the shit, period. So anyway, let me keep reading. So my response in pink. I wanted a parental and life partner, and you're damn right a business partner because our family and life is our business. I didn't ask you to be a clone. GTFOH. You guys all know that means get the foop out of here. I asked you to fully participate, and if the truth of the matter is negative, then so be it. You could have done the work to make it positive. And yes, I do ask what you want because I'm a freaking adult. This ain't no damn Disney movie fairy tale or guessing game where you think you're supposed to just know someone. I ask you to communicate and be open and truthful because that's how you know someone. My God, grow the entire, it's so hard for me not to say the cuss words, fuck up. Instead of always silently brooding about shit and only talking when you're drunk. Ooh, it just feels so much better to just say it. You played no role in my success. And many of these things you did either because I had to ask repeatedly or you did what a roommate or handyman or homie would do. Thanks. Whew, it just felt so good for me to be able to like read everything and not go for the gaslighting and the bullshit. Although, like, at first glance, there's that part of me back in the day that would have been like, oh my God, you were such a hero. You were so amazing. I'm like, up, that sounds nice, but let's go on and let's cut through the bullshit and get to the truth of it. Let's keep it 100. Let's keep it a buck. We gonna keep it a buck. Let's break this down. So I continue. You played no role in my success. And many of these things you did either because I had to ask repeatedly or you did what a roommate or handyman or homie would do. Thanks. So I said, Admitting that you're not great at adulting versus actually grabbing your nuts and deciding to step up and just fucking do it is bullshit. I'm not trying to hear. Let me say that again so it can flow better. Admitting that you're not great at adulting versus actually grabbing your nuts and deciding to step up and just fucking do it is some bullshit I'm not trying to hear. My nigga, that is the very definition of weaponized incompetence. You just said you can do those things, so basically you choose not to. And these things that you opted out of are only half assed, where the very things, and these things that you opted out of are only half assed, where the very things we all needed to be solid. The Saab and Jamaica money actually was life changing. I never needed another vehicle. It's fucking stupid. That money should be put into taking care of the one car I had and properly insuring it. But you think your uneducated philosophy is better than what a certified financial planner has to say? Okay, so now I have to actually like pull, see if I can keep going further. And guess what? The first thing that my financial advisor said that I invested in for the both of us, hold on. And guess what? The first thing that my financial advisor said that I invested in for the both of us said, why the hell do you have two vehicles? That's two cars to fuel, maintain, insure, pay taxes, and you can't afford that, which is why, oh, and you can't afford that, which is why all four of our cars are in need of repair. You are committed to your own goddamn ignorance as long as you feel you are right. You don't try to love someone. You learn what love is and you do that shit. There is no fucking try. You either do or you don't. All right, so we're going on. As it pertains to savings and finance, yes, you are right. It's hard, but not impossible. It's also hard being perpetually broke and financially insecure. You choose today over tomorrow, and that has held us back for too goddamn long. Nigga, you ain't done no Xmas's. I found gift resources and bought everything for my kids. You just go and pick them up. You think you deserve a medal for just being here and doing the minimum of what the fuck a man who I allowed to be in your position did. And let me make abundantly clear you did the minimum. And apparently, I gassed your ass up for too long about that because when I told you it's time to step up, that's when the problems came and it stopped being fun for you. Told you to stop playing house and actually do this shit for real, for real. And that's when you began pouting like a petulant toddler on a regular because I said, I'm tired of steering this ship, both ships by my damn self. It's time for you to stop being just a supporter and be a partner. I got girlfriends and homies for support and babysitting. Either you're a husband and partner and you're doing all this shit or you're not. And you know what? You've told me over and over you don't want the responsibility, but you continued to waste my time for as long as you could until I finally got fed the fuck up. Then you get to call me mouthy and angry when it was your minimum effort gaslighting ignorant ass that made me that way, caring mostly about you and your selfish ass pleasures above what was best for all of us. And when I say all of us, I mean literally all eight of us. Me, my four kids, him, his two kids. That whenever he had them, the very bare minimum time that he did have them, guess who was actually housing them, clothing them, feeding them, raising them, trying to give them discipline because he never disciplined them. Like he just don't do discipline, nothing or structure. Me. Caring mostly about you and your selfish ass pleasures above what was always best for all of us. And that car did nothing for my family. That car was about me and you. That's it. And there's no me and you living life like we don't have kids and responsibilities. Not happening. We could have taken trips with no stress and truly had carefree moments, but we hadn't earned that shit yet. Walking around driving busted ass drop tops and taking trips, but your goddamn gas and my phone getting cut the fuck off looking ass. Structure and order. You don't give a fuck about that. It's robbing your joy. Go find some young, dumb, tight waist, cute face, don't know how to recognize your irresponsible ass waist female and live your best life. As usual, the mother's got this, so my kids and yours will be all right. We'll just call you when we need someone to pick up or some shit for a little while or run errands because that seems to be it. The fuck. Okay. So then his response, wow, you know what? You're right. Whew, yours is an attitude that's impenetrable. You can keep, ooh, good word. You can keep all your anger and insults. I'm not here to fight with you. Just enjoy this angry world you live in. Sheesh, I can't. Only one exhibiting toxic masculinity is you. I said, you're right. You couldn't and wouldn't. Or you couldn't or wouldn't. So then I went on to say, 'cause I had a lot of things to say. And let's keep it a buck. You're driving me back and forth to Baltimore didn't cost you much, so cool down. You do stuff like that on a regular, my dude. And had you known for certain there was no chance you would get on with those cats, as in get on that gig too, you may not have kept doing it. It was nice, but it wasn't investing in me. So, and that's it. So quit. I completely invested in you and your children. I also fully and completely loved you and your children. You never loved mine or really loved me. It took you forever to even fucking say it to me. And the few times you did, you acted like you struggled to say the fucking word. I told your kids and I showed them love all the time. And I invested completely into them and got involved. Okay, hold on. You never loved mine or wanted to be a father. You said it best. You said you'd rather not be the main one. You dealt with my children and you helped me with them. There's the difference. I wasted a lot of time. Okay, so I got to keep going here, pulling this. I wasted a lot of time waiting and begging for you to fully invest. The more I replay everything, the angrier I get because fuck, you're a fucking coward. You knew you weren't going to really do it. You should have left me the entire fuck alone instead of treating me and my kids like a goddamn tryout family. Fuck you for this. I can't get my time, energy, love, investment, or my magic back. His response, wow, you're really trying to turn this ugly. And I just don't want to. I've never lied to you. Everything I did was for you, was legitimately for you. I didn't care if I happened to get on to. It would have been great to work a gig together, but I did it to support you as I did with everything. I know you're angry and stressed right now, but this isn't the way. I said, the way to what? I'm not trying to get anywhere else. I just have zero reason left to sugarcoat, worry about your ego versus the truth, or try to be patient or cute about things and lie to myself anymore. It was what it was, and a whole lot of it was nonsense. I don't have to turn it into anything. A lot of it is ugly. You can say bullshit real nice and pretty, but it's still bullshit. I spent a lot of time hyping you up and gassing you up, hoping it would incentivize you to actually be everything I called you. I spoke life into you and I told you, asked you, begged you over and over what I want. Hold on. I spoke life into you and I told you, asked you, begged you over and over what I want. And fuck your in your own sweet time. If you, okay, so basically I'm saying, fuck your, I'll do it in my own sweet time. If you wanted to, you would. And since you didn't, you really, okay, cool. Somebody shared a gift or something, I don't know. Uh, if you wanted to, you would. And since you didn't, you really should have been at least man enough to get the entire fuck up out of the way then, out of my way then. You have the capability of being a husband and father. And you didn't want to, and hold on. You have the capability, okay, I'm trying to get to that page, of being a husband and father, and you didn't want to, and fuck you for being so selfish to stand there and play in my face for so goddamn long. So I think going over that, uh, So that was basically really the last conversation that solidified what I saw coming for quite some time, probably admittedly from the very beginning. Something that a lot of women in my position um, have done, and what I did as well. I was at the very cusp, the very tail end of being like this. I like to say when I got into that relationship, I was at the very end of like my pick Misha days. I was coming out of it, but not fully out of it. And I think that helped to push me all the way out of it. So there were some things that were beneficial for me as a result of going through it and definitely getting to the end of it as well. I think it really helped to um, strengthen, like, take that inner resolve that I had and just kind of take it to that next level that it needed to be for me to be who I am today. You can get into some things that may be good to a degree, but just because it's good don't mean it's great. And just because it may be good for a minute doesn't mean it's like ultimately all around good for you. In the beginning, it seemed like, okay, this is cool, this is solid. But the more and more I continue to develop, like I was already actively on this personal development journey, this really tapping more into my feminine energy journey. So I started to, like, almost every 6 months have these epiphanies like, wait a minute, like, why am I taking pride in doing his dishes and feeding his kids? Like, I'm taking pride in like basically being his mama. The fuck? And so the more I started to like look at how lopsided it was, and my grandmother used to say from the very beginning, my grandmother's almost 90 years old, and they could look at something, those elders can look at something really quickly and call a thing, and they never miss. She just kept saying, he's getting the better end of the deal. And I'm like, no, he's not. I'm this and I'm that. And I got 4 kids and I got all of this and that. And she's like, you're devaluing yourself. And I didn't see it in the beginning. But the more and more I started to pay attention, and here's something that a lot of them will do, and a lot of these so-called nice guys, because by all accounts he is the quintessential nice guy. But there's something nasty behind all of them. The whole incel attitude, even if they're actually getting some, a little bit. The whole, underlying kind of hatred toward women that maybe they couldn't get growing up and that they might still not be able to get the attention of as often as their counterparts. All of that was there, and kind of stifled, but you can only hide that stuff for so long. That stuff started to come out in conversations. Like, I recall one time talking about how I wanted to be an AKA in college, but I wound up getting married and kind of dropped out for a while. So that opportunity is long gone, at least for undergrad. I wanted to do undergrad AKA, and I suppose I could do grad chapter at some point later. But I talked about it. I talked about why it was so important to me. And the very first thing he said, like, he recoiled and got so disgusted in the face, and he literally called them a bunch of stuck up bitches. That's what he called Alpha Kappa Alpha. And then he went on basically to explain why, which is no point in explaining, because if you know, you know why a person with that type of spirit would even call them stuck up bitches. Okay. And to me, I'm like, ooh, he thinks I'm a stuck up bitch. Because everything he said, wow. Like, it was just little things like that. And it's like, guys like that will get with certain women. And then when he was drunk, he would say a lot of things that let me know he thinks I'm better than him and he actually hates me for it. So you think I'm better than you. You say things like, that you should give me the world, but you can't. All you got is love. But you're going to try. And there's something about me and my ambition and my structure and my goals and everything else that you really like, really hate. But there's something that drives them to try to really break you down. And there's a satisfaction that these nice guys get out of breaking you down little by little by little. Um, you know, I had a conversation with my uncle tonight, and I respect what he said when he was talking about how, just because there's a couple of trees that, basically have like worm rot or wood rot, that doesn't mean that there aren't still some great mighty oaks standing in the forest. That's true. Just because there's some or even an abundance of them that are just terrible doesn't mean there aren't any good ones. That is a fact. I will keep that out there. But I'm at the point in life where I don't even want to take the chance anymore because I've experienced so many: the preacher, the cop, the teacher, God, so many musicians. And I don't mean as in all lovers, but just period, like just in different capacities in life. But even when it comes to lovers, when it comes to husbands, when it comes to partners, um, uh, there's been a spectrum. And even with the few that were considered good and nice guys, and this one was one of the best, he was just a more polished turd. If you go back and pay attention to the things in that message, I'm saying things that are concrete. I'm trying to get us to be an adult. I'm trying to get us to be responsible for your kids and mine. I'm trying to make sure that there's structure, stability, that there are actual real commitments on the table. And what did he give me? The gaslighting. All you care about is the bills being paid. I want to use that money to make memories. But you're making me to be, but then also making himself to be the victim in that. All you care about is this and that for the kids. I'm saying that we need something for you and I, and making it. This is something else that these gaslighters will do, and these nice guys will do. They'll take your intentions, your requests, and your words, and they will twist it ever so slightly to make it seem so extreme and make it seem so absurd when you're asking, when you have boundaries and when you have expectations and requests that are absolutely reasonable. Um, they will find a way to like contort it to where now it sounds like you're being so unreasonable, you're being so dramatic, and you are somehow victimizing them. If you saw the messages that were saying, I want him, of me being accusing him of being a clone. How many times have you said to your guy, um, here's an example. I don't like it when you make certain jokes or when you do this or that. You're saying something very specific. How many times have you had a guy come back to you and say, well, then you know what? I just won't. I guess you're just saying you don't want me to joke at all. So I just won't joke at all with you anymore. That is gaslighting. That is flipping the script. That is so toxic. You got to pay attention to those little things because they're not that little. And those are the things they will try to do to break you the hell down. The goal is to break you down so that you wouldn't dare continue to have boundaries and to want to try to keep those boundaries because now you're requiring that they actually do some work and that you're requiring that they get out of their comfort zone and they actually earn their keep. Um, they don't like that. A lot of them would rather continue to be little boys and just get their pleasures met. Have you cooking, cleaning, taking care of your kids and their kids. Another thing, if you have kids, a lot of them will gaslight you into thinking that you should be so like praising them because they're there with you and your kids. He kept saying, I was there, I did this, I did that. You know who was taking care of everybody? Who was keep taking care of all the bills, all the groceries, all the insurances? This Negro never kept insurance. You know who was doing all the structure, all the planning, everything else? Me. But he would say these things in a very subtle way to try to get me to be so grateful because he's got a bat and balls and he's there and he plunged the toilet or he fixed something in the house or even the way he worded Christmas gifts. He never bought a Christmas gift. Never bought a Christmas gift for my kids. I think, nope, I take that back. He got a couple from Five Below. I'm a single mom with 4 kids, working a full time job, also gigging. I have my own business where I do singing and acting and stuff. And because of my station in life, I still had to rely on getting, assistance to make up the difference with Christmas gifts. You know what I also was doing? Getting a whole bunch of free Christmas gifts for his kids. Why do I have you in my bed fucking on me and I'm getting everybody's Christmas gifts And the most you'll do is go to Five Below. When I tell you the last Christmas, I made sure I set my kids out and I got his kids a couple of gifts, just a couple, out of my pocket, but they were good quality gifts. His kids had to sit in front of my kids looking crazy because they got one raggedy ass gift from their father that was cheap as hell. Matter of fact, one of them he didn't have to buy at all because he got because of me, because my kids are in Big Brothers Big Sisters and they went to a holiday party and he got some free gifts there because my college my college student daughter told me the real deal. Like, you're so minimum effort and so shitty. Like, you don't care shit nothing about your kids or mine. But he framed it to say, I got all the Christmas gifts. He literally, I buy them all, and I ascertain all the other ones that I may not be able to buy. He picks them up. Nigga, you went and picked up the gifts. I provided. You picked it up. So basically, you've been in my life and you've allowed yourself to be a bed maid, a part-time cook and stuff when I'm not around. But first of all, if you there, you should be helping cook. You never clean because I have pictures of how disgusting my house is was with him in it when I'm not around. Never again. Totally disrespectful to my home that you and your kids are up in. You live in full time and your kids live in their part time, less than part time. The very few times they're with you. Like, we can go on and on and on. It's good for me to go back and to replay this because these are things that allow me to never ever get to that place again. And these are also examples that some of you ladies can listen to and relate to and see how like crazy some of it is. And I'm hoping that it helps you to have some conversations, with yourself in your own circles, and it gives you this resolve. Then the light just went out. For you also to make sure. Hold on. I guess after I stopped moving. Okay, that's okay. I got the little smart lights, and I guess I stopped moving for too long, and my lights just turned off, and then when I move, they pop back on. um, but I hope it strengthens your resolve to continue on your level up journey. The internal work that's needed to be done, to be able to recognize these things and call it to the carpet, like I did, um, and be done with it, like I did. Um, and the ones of you who have not got into relationships or don't want to, maybe this is something that'll help you to kind of strengthen your resolve to be like, you know what, I don't need this crap. I don't need it. You don't. You don't. So Jamaica was not just 1,800. It was a good, maybe I would say 3-4 thousand, which is not a lot, but in our station in life that is a lot. And here's why it was a problem. It's a problem because where have we taken our kids? But we're going to Jamaica. First of all, Jamaica was on my birthday, but it had nothing to do with me. He had friends that were getting married, and a lot of the elite musicians he works around, they were all going. So it had nothing to do with me. He had to be in that place that a lot of them other people, they did the work and they earned their spot to be there. I know because there's certain things you can tell by people's demeanor. You can a person's lifestyle. You can't really fake certain things if you know the real. You can pay attention to how the way you do little things, the way you do everything. You can pay attention to people's conversation, the way they carry themselves, priorities and stuff. It's going to show up. Like, whatever is on the inside of you, it's going to testify on the outside in a lot of ways. And when you are a certain thing, you don't ever have to say it. You show it. So we're around these other men and couples who have earned their spot and who can go to Jamaica, and they're not going back to a bunch of unpaid bills. I was totally against it because yes, we should take vacations. Yes, we should enjoy life. Absolutely. But not at the you should never dive into today at the expense of tomorrow. You are a almost 50-year-old man with a family you basically abandoned, who don't give a shit about your tomorrow, your kids tomorrow, me and my kids tomorrow. All you ever care about is today. That's it. So while you don't have insurance, while I am in between airlines, so now I'm struggling and I should be able to rely on you because you're the man, right? You're the man of the house. Now I'm still making money, but I'm trying to be wise with my money, especially because I don't have a significant flow of money for a couple of months. So I'm trying to make sure bills are paid. We always have more than enough groceries, blah blah blah. The kids, their way of life. What have we scheduled for them for the summer? As far as a family vacation is concerned. But going to Jamaica so that you could fulfill this egoic need to be around these people who were doing better than you, who did the work to get there, was more important than the fact that you got two vehicles that are completely inoperative because you don't want to fix either one of them. I got two vehicles and now you're running one of my vehicles down to the ground. Within about a month or two of that conversation, both of my vehicles were completely inoperative. So you had two cars, I had two cars. You ruined all four of those vehicles. You ruined me. And it put me into a very bad bind. Why? Because you're irresponsible. The beginning of the relationship, the red flags were there about that. But me being so, still having this part of me that was so male identified in the beginning, I was thinking, oh, he just needs a good woman that's got more um, financial savvy. He just needs, I can help him with this. We can complement each other. No, both people need to come into the relationship whole and healed, not trying to fix stuff. And that was one of my downfalls. I saw a lot of these deficiencies from the very beginning. Him always complaining about, I just need to do another gig. I got to do another show. I need to get another tour so I can pay these bills. But you don't want to get a job, but you got kids and you got rent that's not being paid. So here I come, Captain Save us, Captain Save a Scrub. What do we want to call me? Instead of Captain, well, yeah, Captain. First officer, save a scrub. And I am looking up stuff, because I've had to learn how to survive on my own as a divorced mom before. So I'm putting all those skills, and then also as an entrepreneur, always looking for grants, always looking for this, looking for that. So now I'm literally looking up, this is stuff he could have done on his own. During the pandemic, I put at least $20,000 in this dude's pocket just by looking up different grants, different forgivable loans. And I'm not talking about just the PPP, doing nothing illegal. I'm talking about like state stuff, federal stuff, different opportunities. Then there was like some MLM thing that was actually pretty good for a minute. It was probably a scheme, but if you know how to get in them things right and get out before it goes bad, which is what I did, but he didn't, then you can come up with all of that stuff. Like I'm a hustler because I didn't have a backup plan. So I'm doing all of this stuff for him. So I'm making myself such an asset for him. And all he has to do is provide some regular D, babysit sometimes, pretend to be a little stepdad, and I'm not seeing all of that. And basically, like, if I need something fixed, stuff like that. But I'm actually truly investing. He introduced me to a couple of bands he played with. I was already doing that for me. Like, a lot of these bands and these different things, I was going to do regardless. Like, he never did anything for me that I couldn't or wasn't doing for myself. But I was doing a lot of things for him that he wasn't doing for himself or couldn't do for himself or was too lazy to do for himself and his kids. I was doing that. And the more and more I started to notice it and call it out. Now, I read those text messages and you guys saw that I was, and I got really rough and tough. And, a lot of guys don't like that. They feel like that's too masculine. I don't give a shit. But you have to earn that. Okay. I'm not, and a lot of women, we're not coming out the gate just saying straight to your face, like, fuck you for wasting my time, blah, blah, blah. At least not women of worth. Um, and it takes a while to get pushed to that point. The takeaway and the lesson for me is to not even be in a situation that would ever bring out the worst in me to where now I'm cussing out a guy for being a fucking bum. Like when I see it, this has taught me not to have any compassion anymore for none of that. Oh, he needs help with this and that. Okay, God bless you. I hope you get the help you need. Get somebody else to do it. Oh, he has kids too. We can have a blended family and I can do his daughter's hair. His daughter's bald headed and she needs this and that. And, and then, I get somebody else to do it, and in the beginning, even with that, me thinking, that the mom was somehow lacking. And then that was that pick Misha, and you will have you looking at another mom crazy for a minute and thinking, why does she talk to him like she hates him, like she's a child, like he's a child? But then when you come out of that pick Misha, which, like I said, the beginning of the relationship, I still had a little bit of that left in me. By the end, it was gone, honey. It was out. Like, thank you to that relationship for getting all the rest of that pick me up out of me. Because then it was like, oh, that's why she talks to you with so much contempt. That's why she talks to you like a child, because you are a child. Okay. You basically made yourself another son in her life, and that's why she's always sunning you when she talks to you. Okay. The daughter's probably bald head, and I'm not saying that to be funny, like she literally was, like a lot of it. And her head is probably looking crazy because that mama is tired. And you talking crazy, you talking bad about how your daughter looks, but this is your daughter that's looking bad. You get mad about seeing your kids in pictures with your son wearing pants that are too short and your kids not looking great, but these are your kids. So if they're not looking great, guess whose fault it is, my nigga? Yours, because they're your kids. So I don't need to be stepping in doing, and you ain't doing shit, and you bringing them to me looking crazy. And now I'm going out trying to go to Burlington and all these cheap spots, because I'm not rich, trying to buy them clothes, and me and my oldest daughter trying to do hair and do this and that, and I'm trying to encourage you to take your son to the bar. Like, no, you should be doing this. And when you present your kids, like, hello, this is your daughter. You need to be doing her hair, or you can go take her to the Dominican shop and pay $25, $35 for her to get a good blowout. So in the beginning, I looked at it with way too much compassion, and I can help because we were sold that lie that as women we're just supposed to be the help meet. Like, even that word help meet, just a piece of meat that helps. Like, literally, that's what that means. Be a piece of meat and help him. A fuck. So very glad about how that last experience um, kind of pushed me all the way over that edge and got me completely out of the whole still being slightly identified with XY and thinking that we're supposed to see their deficiencies and we're supposed to meet them and we're supposed to still be the workhorse and we're supposed to be the the step in, the step over, because what happens when you give them everything they need and you know, finance their life and you give them that soft place to land, and that you're giving them a launching pad and so that they can launch on when they're done sucking everything up from you that you can, or when you hold their feet to the fire and say, it's time for you to step up or step off. All right, I need to get myself some rest. So that's that. I'm hoping I'm able to download this and do some edits, keep a conversation going later on. That's it for now. Tell me your thoughts and all that stuff. Look for this on my YouTube channel later on. Link is in the bio on here on TikTok, and that's that for now. Good night, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I don't even know where the heck I'm at right now. I don't even know what time it is. It doesn't matter. Bye bye.
I know you got all dressed up for the club.